Most people think they're behind. They scroll Instagram, they see someone's new car, someone's Cabo trip, someone's passive income update, and they feel this quiet dread, this voice that says you're losing. But here's the thing nobody tells you. The people who are actually building real wealth, they almost never look like it. And there's a good chance that right now, today, you are further ahead than you realize. I want to show you something by the end of this video that will completely change how you measure your own progress. But first, I need to ask you one question that's going to make a few of you uncomfortable. When is the last time you actually felt good about where you are financially? Not compared to someone else, just honestly, for yourself. If you can't remember, stay with me, because we're about to fix that. And before we get into the signs, there's one thing I'll come back to at the end that explains why most people misread their own financial progress entirely. It has to do with something a behavioral economist named Daniel Kahneman spent 30 years studying. I'll get there. But first, sign one. You have no high-interest debt. That's it. That's the sign. I know it sounds basic, but stop and actually think about what that means. The average American household is carrying over $6,000 in credit card debt, often at 20, sometimes 24% interest. That is a wealth-destroying machine running in the background of someone's life every single day. If you paid that off or you never let it build in the first place, you've already done something that the majority of your peers have not done. You are not just treading water, you are ahead. I have a friend, 31, works in logistics, genuinely believes he's bad with money, but he has zero credit card debt, a paid-off car, and a 401k he's been contributing to since he was 23. Every time we talk about money, he says, "I just feel like I'm not doing enough." He's building wealth faster than he thinks. He just can't see it. You automatically save before you ever touch your paycheck. This is not about the amount. This is about the behavior. In The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel argues that your behavior with money matters infinitely more than your knowledge of money. The person who automatically puts $200 a month into a retirement account and never touches it is doing something deeply powerful, not because of the $200, but because they've removed the decision entirely. They've made the right move, the default move. If your savings are automated, you are in a very small club. Drop a comment right now and tell me what percentage you're saving automatically. I'm genuinely curious, and I guarantee it'll surprise you to see how many people are quietly doing the same thing. You don't stress about small purchases anymore. And I want to be very precise here because people get this wrong. I'm not talking about being reckless. I'm talking about the specific feeling. When you buy a $14 lunch and you don't do mental math about whether you can afford it. When you need new shoes and you just buy the shoes. That psychological ease around ordinary expenses, that is a form of financial security that most people in their 20s and 30s do not have. It doesn't mean you're rich. It means you've built a foundation stable enough that daily life doesn't feel like a tightrope walk. That's real. That counts. Your net worth went up this year, even if it didn't feel like it. Here's a number that will rearrange your thinking. If you're 30 years old and your net worth increased by even $5,000 this year, through savings, debt payoff, home equity, retirement contributions, anything, you just outperformed roughly 40% of people your age. Not because they're lazy or reckless. Because life is expensive, wages have not kept up, and the structural headwinds are real. You bucked those headwinds, that matters. The problem is that a $5,000 increase in net worth doesn't feel like anything. It doesn't look like anything either. There's no moment, no celebration, no physical object to point at. It's a number in a spreadsheet that most people don't even look at. But compound that number for 20 years, and you start to understand why the people who quietly win with money are the ones who tracked invisible progress and stayed patient. You have at least 1 month of expenses saved, ideally 3. Emergency funds are deeply unsexy. Nobody posts about them. Nobody brags about them at dinner. But they are the single most important financial structure you can build in your 30s, and most people don't have one. Over half of Americans say they couldn't cover a $1,000 emergency without borrowing. If you've got a cushion, even a thin one, you're not just financially safer, you are psychologically different. You make better decisions. You don't take a desperate job just because a rent is due. You don't go deeper into debt over a broken transmission. That cushion is leverage, and you have it. You've started thinking in decades, not months. This one's hard to spot in yourself, but it's one of the most telling signs. There's a 28-year-old version of you who used to think, how do I get ahead this year? And somewhere along the way, that shifted to, what does my life look like at 45? That shift, that extension of your time horizon, is not a small thing. It is the fundamental mindset difference between people who build wealth and people who repeatedly almost build wealth. Warren Buffett has said more times than anyone has counted that his edge wasn't intelligence. It was patience. It was the ability to sit still while the math worked. If you've started thinking like that, you're already playing a different game than most. The people you spend the most time with take money seriously. I don't mean obsessively. I don't mean they talk about stocks at every dinner. I mean, the friends you're closest to, the people you spend Friday nights with, do they talk about building something? Do they have goals? Do they invest even small amounts? Or do they laugh at the idea of a budget, blow every bonus on a trip they put on a credit card, and treat financial responsibility like it's something for boring people? This one will rattle some of you, because you probably already know the answer, and you probably already know what it means. The research on peer influence and financial behavior is overwhelming. You don't just inherit your friends' habits consciously, you absorb them. If your circle takes the future seriously, you will too. That's not judgment, that's just how humans work. You invest in yourself, and you've seen it pay off. A course you took that led to a raise, a book that changed how you negotiate, a mentor you paid to have coffee with, a skill you spent 6 months learning that's now part of how you earn. These are not expenses. These are the highest returning investments most people in their 30s can make. And behavioral economists call this human capital accumulation, the expansion of your ability to earn over time. If you've done any version of this, you are compounding two things at once, your money and your earning power. Most people only think about one of them. You feel behind, but you keep going anyway. This is a counterintuitive one. The people who eventually build serious wealth are almost never the ones who felt perfectly confident the whole time. They're the ones who felt unsure, felt behind, compared themselves to others, questioned their choices, and then did the boring right thing anyway. Automatic transfer, low-cost index fund, extra $50 toward debt, month after month, year after year. Not because it felt like progress, sometimes in spite of the fact that it didn't. The feeling of being behind can actually be evidence that you're paying attention. And people who pay attention, who actually notice the gap between where they are and where they want to be, are the ones who close it. Which brings me to what Kahneman spent 30 years on: loss aversion. The idea that losses feel roughly twice as powerful as equivalent gains. What this means for how you see your own financial life is profound. A $500 mistake in your budget will haunt you for weeks, while a $500 gain in your 401k barely registers. This is not a personal flaw, this is biology. You are wired to overweight the negative and underweight the positive. Which means if you are keeping score of your own wealth journey, you are almost certainly scoring it wrong. You are counting every setback at full weight and discounting every win. Correct for that. Look at the full picture. The zero high interest debt, the automated savings, the growing net worth, the emergency cushion, the longer time horizon, the people around you who take this seriously, the investment in yourself that's quietly compounding. You are further ahead than you think. The race isn't over. You haven't lost. You're just in a long game that doesn't always feel like progress when you're in the middle of it. That's exactly what it's supposed to feel like. And that, the willingness to stay in the long game when it doesn't feel rewarding, is the rarest wealth-building skill that exists. If this hit different, subscribe. There's more where this came from.